Sudan has experienced violent clashes between the Sudanese army and a paramilitary group called the RSF Rapid Support Forces. The fighting has extended into the disputed territory of Al-Fashaga, which lies between Sudan and Ethiopia. Despite calls for a ceasefire from both the US Secretary of State and the UN chief, the violence continues with no signs of stopping soon. This video aims to explain why the fighting erupted in Sudan, how it spread into Ethiopia, and the potential consequences for a region already facing instability. Before we start, to stay up to date with our latest videos, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications. To understand the current situation in Sudan, we must delve into Sudanese history, which dates back to 1989, when al-Bashir seized power through a non-violent coup. He rigged the election in Sudan to stay in power for 30 years, and his government continued the Sudanese civil war, which was a conflict between non-Muslim ethnic minorities in the south and the mostly Muslim central government. This war ended with the creation of South Sudan in 2011. He also reignited the long-running war in Darfur. According to an investigation by the International Criminal Court, he masterminded and implemented a plan to destroy the three main ethnic groups in Darfur through murder, rape, and deportation. The UN estimated that his government forces killed up to 300,000 ethnic Darfuri people and displaced millions more. He was charged by the ICC for directing a campaign of mass killing, rape, etc. against civilians in Darfur, becoming the first sitting head of state to be indicted by the ICC. He was eventually ousted by the Sudanese military in 2019 and handed over to the ICC a year later. The military took control of Sudan and declared a state of emergency. However, the military staged another coup in October 2021, led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, who now serves as Sudan's president. The Rapid Support Forces (RSF) supported the coup. The military claimed they were trying to rectify the transition and promised democratic elections in July 2023. This was met with protests from the Sudanese public, who demanded a democratically elected civilian government. The military cracked down on protests, killing and injuring thousands. In January 2022, Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok resigned in protest against the military's increasing political appointments. After months of negotiations, a framework agreement was reached in December 2022, in which the military promised to give up the power and enable a transition to democracy within 2 years. However, the recent fighting is due to another part of the agreement, which requires the full integration of the RSF into Sudanese army. This was always going to be difficult, given that the RSF and the Sudanese army both have about 100,000 troops each, and has sparked the power struggle between al-Burhan and the leader of the RSF, who turned General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, who is also Sudan's current vice president. And well, that's what the current fighting is all about. The ongoing conflict in Sudan is not driven by any ideological differences, but rather by a struggle for power between two factions within the Sudanese military. Most of the fighting has been focused in capital Khartoum, where the two sides are fighting for key civilian and military infrastructure. The RSF has used fighter jets, while the Sudanese army has used heavy artillery. The death toll from the fighting is believed to be much higher than reported, with hundreds dead and thousands injured. The two leaders of the factions, al-Burhan and Dagalo, are both unpopular with the Sudanese public and were supposed to transfer power to a civilian government. The conflict also poses a risk of destabilizing the region, with reports of involvement from neighboring countries such as Egypt and Libya. In addition, there are allegations of Ethiopian forces being involved, further complicating the situation. This is not only a tragedy for Sudan, but also for the Horn of Africa, which has been plagued by crises for the past 5 years.